Hello, I'm Neil Whelan and welcome to the Wesleyan Podcast. In this episode, we're taking a look at the recent spring budget and what it means to you, especially around pensions and the changes to pensions allowances. Laura White is asking the questions, and Wesleyan Financial Services Specialist Financial Advisor Paul Barnfather will be using his expertise to make sense of all the changes for you. It goes without saying that as informative as this podcast is, it isn't financial advice. If you do feel you need help with your finances, Wesleyan Financial Services and its financial advisors are there for you. And I'll be back later to tell you how to make contact. But for now, I'm going to hand you over to Paul. And first up, Laura.
Paul, if we jump right in then, in the spring budget, the Chancellor made a few bombshell announcements in regards to pension allowances. Could you just enlighten us as to what those were and why they were so surprising?
We always keep an eye on press leaks ahead of the budget, so we did think that something small would be announced relating to pension allowances to entice those in the healthcare service to continue working as opposed to retiring early, which a lot of people have been doing. A couple of the main things that came out was the money purchase annual allowance, which has gone from 4,000 and increased to 10,000. And what that's going to do is potentially have some impact on people who are going to retire and then return to work and continue to contribute to pensions, more commonly known as 24-hour retirement. And there's also been a 50% rise on the annual allowance, which has gone from 40 to 60,000. So that's a significant increase there. And the main one was really the abolishment of the lifetime allowance. There were some leaks before that suggested that there was going to be a rise in the allowance, but not to remove it altogether, which was a bit of a shock, but a positive one at that.
Yeah, it does seem like quite a big announcement. So what do these changes mean for dentist retirement plans?
So I guess for many dentists, there'll be quite a lot of uncertainty around relating to the changes and how it will impact them on a personal basis, and I suppose what they need to do to plan their road to retirement. But I suppose it is a very individual situation. A lot of my clients ask me what everyone else does, and the response I give to them is it doesn't matter what everyone else is doing. What matters to you as an individual.
Okay, so you mentioned the uncertainty there. Could you give us some sort of scenarios what that you can provide where dentists may need to seek financial advice?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose the first scenario would be if you were at that point of retirement now, and obviously now you've got the benefit of having the lifetime allowance removed. It could potentially save you hundreds of thousands in tax, but I guess you'd still need to receive that advice in terms of accessing the tax-free lump sum, how much you can get, and how much the rest of the pension is going to generate you with an income. But obviously, it's good news in that situation. And if you were, I suppose, at the other end of the scale and just building towards retirement, the increase in the annual allowance is once again fantastic news. It enables people outside of the NHS pension to save up to an extra £20,000 per year into their pension. And people within the NHS pension, it can provide them a little bit more breathing room with the automatic annual increases that the scheme receives. So obviously, once again, if you've got any queries, you need to seek advice. But all these changes do start from the 23-24 tax year, this coming April. A number of clients come to me when they're at that stage, at the retirement stage, and they've never really sort of looked at the situation as a whole, and they're just a bit confused as to what they need to do and what forms they need to fill in, how best to access their pensions in the most tax efficient way, and that's really where we can guide them through that and give them the advice that they need. And I suppose if you're looking at the other end of the scale, people who are just, I suppose, starting out in their career or mid-career, we really can now look at, more ways to help them boost that retirement pot for ultimately when they do retire.
Are there any extenuating circumstances that dentists need to think about?
There are some concerns around how permanent these changes will be, particularly on the run-up to a general election. The Labour Party so far has been quite vocal in that, saying that should they come into power, they'd reverse these changes. But at this moment in time, this is just purely speculation. There's lots of external factors that need to be taken account of, and the changing landscape of financial services, always happens in terms of tax and regulation. So, that's the real reason why we need to, keep on top of the changes and make sure that nobody's negatively affected.
Have you got any final thoughts?
So this is potentially really good news for people who have concerns around inheritance tax planning and estate planning. Using pensions can be a fantastic way to keep money outside of the estate when that calculation happens. And I suppose the limits have been relaxed in terms of saving for retirement, but there's still some tax implications when you draw the pension that remain unchanged in terms of the tax-free cash amount that you can take, and also any funds over and above that will be potentially classed as taxable income as well. So I think it really is a balancing act of getting the right financial advice at the right time for you as an individual, and always just speaking to someone who understands and knows your situation. And ultimately at Wesleyan, that's what we're here to do, to give our clients that tailored advice that they really need at the time that they need it.
Paul, thank you so much for your time. We'll have to have you on again soon to discuss pensions in future.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. It's been great. Really, really enjoyed it and sharing the advice.
And that's our show for this week. Thank you to Laura and Paul. In the wake of any budget, the devil is in the detail, and our experts are constantly going through the Treasury documents to try to work out how the changes affect people and professions in the real world. That's why if you do think you might be impacted, it makes sense to talk to one of our specialist financial advisors. You can book a no-obligation appointment at wesleyan.co.uk. You can also hear more from us across our social media channels on Twitter at Wesleyan, as well as by searching for us across Facebook, Instagram, and of course LinkedIn. And all past and future episodes of the podcast are available on the usual platforms. But that's it for now. So until next time, thanks for listening.